We got some problems, folks, in our housing. The United States housing is just in shambles. And, it's unfortunate because we could have fixed this. We've got a multi-level housing crisis unfolding in the United States. And frankly, no one is paying attention to it because you know why? Wall Street is making billions of dollars off of this crisis on two different levels. And the reason you don't see more like mainstream media coverage on this is because they profit from this freaking nightmare. So I'm going to break this down. There's a couple of different reasons that this is unfolding the way that this is. Number one, the first piece is the big nightmare is this eviction moratorium. It's about to end, right? This eviction moratorium is about to end, and it's unconstitutional at best. I mean, I think we could all agree that it's probably unconstitutional. Joe Biden sort of, threw something at the wall and hoped that it would stick. But at the end of the day, he already heard from the Supreme Court that it's unconstitutional, and President Biden knows this. So the only solution right now is to provide additional stimulus release so these people can actually stay in their homes. So I don't know if this $1,400 additional stimulus check will be enough to keep people in their homes. Let me know in the chat. Like,
Clayton,
is that enough money to get you caught up on rent or your mortgage?
Clayton, like right now, we don't have time to worry about that with the pandemic stuff. We don't have time to worry about people in their houses and money and stuff. There's something going on in Afghanistan that's taking all the time and money right now. So let's get through that first, and then we can focus on what back here in America. Okay?
Right, exactly. Because all you need to do is tune into mainstream media and wall-to-wall coverage of the 20 years war, the endless war that the warmongers want us to keep and stay there. That's what we need to be focused on. But hey, you're losing your home? That should be on page 2. Can't focus on that. We can't talk about your eviction notices that are piling up.
It probably is on page 2, literally.
Yeah. The fact that we have people sleeping on our streets in the richest country in the world, and we can fund a 20-year war where we spend $2 trillion, build an entire infrastructure that collapses in a short amount of time. That we all knew was going to collapse, by the way. That was the great canard about this whole thing, pretending that this was going to be a success. Now they're all shocked.
Think if the United States just had, I don't know, a savings account, and we didn't spend money, all the money that we spend on war, if we took that and had a savings account, and then during a pandemic, we're like, hey, we've got a surplus. Let's take out of the surplus. We've got like a $17 trillion surplus because we haven't had any wars and stuff. Let's take $5 trillion out of the surplus and give it to the people. No problem, because we've been saving. We've been really responsible with the people's money. But no, they have been very irresponsible. And all we have is debt.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, look, this is the richest country in the world. The one responsibility that a government has is to its people is to protect them and take care of them. That is it. The only responsibility. That's it. Full stop. Full stop. And, you want to say, hey, I remember there'd be segments that we would do occasionally on Fox back in the day where there would be and I sort of regretted taking that position. And I thought about it later and I thought, no, I was wrong. Where you would have a family an American family that decided to sell their earthly possessions and rent a boat or build a boat, and they're going to sail the world. And that's what they're going to do. They've paid their taxes. They've paid into the Social Security fund. They've done their part for God and country, right? This is how they want to live their life. And they get caught in a storm, right? And the Coast Guard has to go save them. And, the thing to say is, how dare taxpayers have to spend money to go save these people? Oh, really? That is the sole thing that this country should be doing, is going and protecting those people, right? Send the Coast Guard out to help those people, right? How about this is not what we should be spending money on? $2 trillion destroying other countries in war. How's that as an idea? Then you wouldn't worry about a friggin' Coast Guard budget, would you? It's helping somebody in a sailboat, for crying out loud.
And the thing is, they hide it. They hide the fact that we are in 9 conflicts right now. spending all this money, because if we knew about it, we would complain. But they're like, if we just keep it secret, we just send the money. Like, you don't hear these arguments. We don't see the news stories like, hey, Joe Manchin today said, I'm not going to support this war bill. How are we going to pay for it? Or any conservative Republican, hey, we can't do this. This is going to put our kids even more in debt. Like, you don't hear anything when it's going to the war budget. But when it's coming to us, it's like they filibuster through the entire process.
Oh yeah, you can't pay for this. We can't. How are we gonna pay for this? We can't pay for it. We couldn't possibly pay for this crisis that we have right now in housing. You know, because if you read or listen to mainstream media, everything's peachy about the housing market. We're building houses like crazy. You know, people are buying homes like crazy. Home builders. But what they're missing in this whole story is the second big piece of this. You know, we have the eviction moratorium, right? That's coming up any day now. Right. The second big piece of this is that the rental prices are skyrocketing. Yes, during a pandemic. Rent prices this year are really astonishing. So it's really interesting to look at the data. So apartmentlist.com really put together this data in a nice way. Excuse me, I'm going to cough.
Bless you.
Still getting over this cold, but you know.
At least your voice sounds a lot better.
Yeah, when I get to that, when I get fired up, then it's like I get a little dry, and you know. Anyway, so look at this median price of rent, monthly change in national median rent. Look at in 2021 how much rent has gone up. How many people watching right now in the chat? Let me know. How many people in the chat are being just crushed with this right now
during a freaking pandemic?
Yeah,
only in America. Let's see that same chart overseas.
Letta Westcott says, I'm fortunate. I have a nice apartment. It's basically a 1-bedroom studio, but it's clean and warm. But where I live, it's $825 is high per month. Yeah. Yeah. As Mark Sparks says, yeah, we can certainly pay for nuclear weapons and worldwide bases. Yeah, 900 military bases around the world. But hey, want to help people pay their rent so they're not homeless? Nah, we can't do that. Art Sullivan says, yes, rent went to $20. Sharon Miller says, yes, I got 2 increases 2 years in a row. Jeez, man. Duchess just says, yeah, my rent just went up. My rent has increased 2 times, says Lala. Art Sullivan, rent went up 20%. Thank you, Jose, for becoming a channel member. Appreciate that and supporting the show. Lisa says, my 1-bedroom was $1,100. Now it's $1,375 here in Michigan. Holy smokes. Wow. Nancy Dubin says, my rent went up $45 per month, so now I don't eat. Come on. This is, so, you know, as we look at this data here, what's interesting about this piece and why
really
rent
quick.
is going up. Yeah.
It's I have to guess. I'm just making an educated guess that it's because wages increased, right?
Almost maybe choke on my on my gin. No. So no. No.
So wages didn't go up, but
no
rent. Oh well.
No. So let me just be clear. Wages haven't gone up. Rent hasn't. Rent has skyrocketed. The price of food and the cost of things has gone up, right? Inflation. And Wall Street is continuing to receive billions of dollars in funding and money and low interest, zero interest loans from the federal government. So let's just be clear about how, you know, where everyone fits in this matrix right now.
So we have these chips that we really like. They're sweet potato chips. They're like a sweet potato tortilla chip. And I went to get them this last week, and they were $6.39 for a bag. Like, not even like they used to be like $3.29. They've doubled in price.
Doubled
for sweet potato chips.
Jeez Louise. You know, everything, right? So the distribution costs, the labor costs, because we had a supply, it's all supply and demand. Right? We had a shortage and we didn't need it. Now we suddenly need it. Now we can't produce enough of it quickly enough. Chip shortages, everything. Not even just sweet potato chips, but like chips for computers. I wonder if those are cheaper. I bet the chips for the
Probably.
computer are probably cheaper than your sweet potato chips, for crying out loud.
Jose sent a super chat. My rent went up from $13.40 to $21.30. I live in Apopka, Florida.
Apopka, Florida. Yeah, I used to live near there. Jeez. $21.30. I mean, $13.40 to $21.30, Jose? What are you supposed to do? Malcolm Small says, I only get $500 a month and I pay for all utilities for a 2-bedroom mobile home. Jonathan Stewart, when my wife and I moved into a 2-bedroom apartment in Center City, Philly, the rent was $200 a month. Hey, Philly in the house, that's where I'm from. When we had to move out a few years ago, the rent for the same apartment was up to $2,500 a month. Jesus.
Jeez.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, fasting. Maybe we'll all lose weight. Maybe that's the only upside of this, is that we're actually not filling our face with all this processed food anymore.
You know,
because we can't afford it.
Every single landlord in this country right now that's going through this should be on the doorstep of the federal government demanding stimulus for the people so that they can get paid. They like everybody's looking for, hey, we need to be bailed out. We need to be bailed out. The government needs to bail us out. If you bail out the people, you would get bailed out. So start demanding the right thing. Stop asking for subsidies and all this other stuff. Get the money in the people's hands and they will give you your damn money.
Right, exactly. Like we talked about last week here on the show, like the states that ended these unemployment benefits early, guess what? Their economies suffered. And there was no additional benefit for them as ending it early. They did not see an increase in employment. People did not rush to take these crappy jobs that are paying them poorly and walking all over them with no benefits. Yeah. So guess what? Didn't work. So anyway, this apartment list, so on the piece about rent going up. So why is rent going up? You may be asking yourselves. Well, they broke this down to look at, while we're seeing I mean, look at this on the screen here. Look at this part.
Yeah.
I mean, the end of this chart, it's ridiculous. 2021. So why? Why does this happen? Well, number one, they say there are more households competing for homes than ever before. In just 3 months, the United States lost nearly 2.5 million households. And we surmise that the vast majority were renters who had more flexibility to move on short notice. Much of this consolidation was young adults, particularly those who had been living with roommates, giving up their leases and moving back in with family. Now, suddenly, we need a huge amount, young adults and otherwise. Number of households in millions, skyrocketing. Also, homeownership is becoming prohibitively expensive, which we'll get to in my third piece of this in a moment. So it's just really expensive to buy a home. We've also seen a 48% drop in inventory. So supply and demand, right? And then search data, many renters are actively looking for a new home right now. People are like, right now, they need it. And number 4, apartment hunters are searching with increased urgency. People, instead of like when they're putting it, instead of just looking or in no hurry, they're saying, we need to move right now, gotta move imminently. High urgency.
Well, and I just I'm going to start looking for an RV because I'm going to be going on the road to live because I don't want to, live in a house with a bunch of junk anymore. So I started shopping for teardrop trailers and stuff like that. And the supply and demand, they're so overwhelmed in that industry because people are buying those to live in them because they're cheaper than houses and they need something. And plus, they don't want to live in these towns and stuff because of COVID and all that stuff. I'm looking at March, April, or May of next year before they could even start building a trailer in most cases. You can find some used ones, but it's crazy. The market, that people are buying these things up because they're so desperate for places to live that aren't as expensive as homes are right now.
Yeah, I mean, we saw during the last downturn, we saw a huge move towards the tiny home market, and I wouldn't doubt those, sort of prefab tiny homes, which in many ways are sort of like an RV. You can actually move them. Some of them are actually on wheels where you can buy a really cheap piece of land, like in Wyoming or other places, and, and go off the grid and just put a tiny home on there. So this is what it's come to. And I get it for you. It's not it's a choice because you want to go the, Henry David Thoreau route. Which is to downsize and get rid of stuff, which I love that. I'm reading Ian Fleming's James Bond books right now. And I just finished Casino Royale. I'm on to the second book now, Live and Let Die. And actually in the third book, Moonraker, I started reading it out of order. He was saying how he just wants to live as simply as possible. He's like, I don't want to die with money. I don't want to die with things. He's like, I just want to live,
Yeah, that's my whole thinking right now. I'm 50 years old, and I've probably got, like I keep saying, about 20 to 28, maybe 30 at the most healthy years left. And I don't want to like die and have all of this junk. Like this junk doesn't do it. I just walk around here in this house. I'm just like, I hate having all this stuff. So I want to get rid of it all, and I just want to really simplify and live a simple life for the rest of my. But I'm still going to have really good internet. So
Right. Well, that's a necessity. I have a video on my other channel, my Clayton Morris channel, where I walk you through how to make money. I have like I look through like 5 different ways on how to make money. And it's gotten a lot of views, and it shows you one big way I teach you to do on that video is to like take stock of the things you have and realize that you can sell a lot of these things that you just don't need. That's one piece of the video. Anyway, go check out that video. It's on if you go to youtube.com/Clayton Morris, where I do more money related items and things, go check that out. It's about a year old now. I did it during at the height of the pandemic. So go check that out on how to create passive income and earn some extra income. It might help some of you. I know many of you wrote to me and watched the video last year, and you started doing it, and you started bringing in some extra income from it. So anyway, go check that video out. It might be helpful. So the third piece of this on the housing crisis front is that the crisis the Wall Street is putting up right now. They're buying up just about every home that it can get its greedy little paws on right now. And guess what? They're turning them into rental properties. No surprise. And this piece highlights this. They were snatched up in 12 hours. First-time homebuyers face stiff competition and high prices. And by the way, where are they finding this competition? Wall Street. Fully 1 in 7 homes right now are now bought by Wall Street investors. And that means those starter home prices are now rising 7 times faster than rental incomes. So if someone actually wants to become a homeowner in the United States, it's not going to happen. The typical renter needs 27 years. Listen to me. This is why I get so frustrated when I talk about the American dream. Like, what is the American dream? In the United States, the typical renter needs 27 years to save for a 20% down payment on the median starter home. 27 years.
Jeez.
This crisis is not being addressed. And Wall Street is snapping up these homes. And what do you think they're doing with them? They are turning them into rental properties. They're not flipping them. Wall Street doesn't flip houses. They're buying them for rental properties. We have a historically low vacancy rate in this country, and the demand is off the charts. And so when Wall Street sits there and says, whoa, I can make a 30% return on my investment through the cash flow you bet they're going to buy it up. Snatched up in 12 hours, this guy says. Before David Taylor, 38, could even finish touring homes, he and his wife were interested in buying. Other buyers would offer $20,000 more or $30,000 more than the listing price in cash. They finally found one, $20,000 above their average price. Would need some serious renovations, and it didn't have a backyard like they wanted.
I had a friend who was selling a house in San Diego for like $150,000, and somebody came in and dropped $250,000 on it right away, like over like $100,000 over asking.
I mean, did you see the California home that we had it in the newsletter? And it was burned out, and it was sold for. Let me see if I can find it here. Yeah, look at this. This is unbelievable. This just goes to show you what the hell's going on in this country. Burned out Bay Area home lists for $850,000, and it sold above asking. How would you like to pay $850,000 for this?
I mean, basically, you just bought a plot of land, is what you did.
Right. And who's going to give you a mortgage on this, by the way? Because no bank is going to say, well, I see value in that. So basically, you have to come with cash to be able to buy something like this. So first-time home buyers are not going to be able to pick up, you may be able to get a construction loan if you can, but that's about it. This is the stuff that's happening out there. This is a big crisis, folks. It's not being talked about in the United States. The mainstream media, I guarantee you, if you turn on the mainstream media tonight, you watch Lester Holt, NBC Nightly News, or any of that, you put on CNN, they're not talking about this. All they're talking about is Afghanistan. Because the warmongers want us to continue a 20 years war. That's what has the attention of mainstream media today. Thanks for subscribing to the channel. You can also become a channel member by going to morninginvest.com/join, where you can stick it to the mainstream media and support independent journalism. We're able to bring you the stories that you won't see on any of the major billionaire-backed networks. Thanks so much. We'll see you next time, everyone.